So we are dealing with a very essential topic. Hmm. As an astrologer, what are the things that you should actually have in yourself? Few practices that you should have as an astrologer, and when to do a consultation is the topic that we are dealing with. Hmm. So three steps, three things technically, right? As a practicing astrologer, what should be your routine duty habits, etc. And I am only talking of those essential things that you should actually do. Right? As an astrologer, you should have a few things. First of all, you should have a spiritual practice. You can do mantras according to the horoscope. Your horoscope, you can do mantras, or you can do mantras of your favorite deity, or you can also pray to God, right? Because not every religion includes mantra. You can just do a normal prayer as well. But some type of spiritual support is very essential. If you don't have that spiritual support, then the karma of the client, etc., tends to hit you, affect you, at least your mentality. So you need to do that mantra for the specific reason that the energy of the chart, etc., doesn't hit you, right? So for that reason, doing a mantra or a simple prayer, etc., is important. So, so to keep your mind away from the negative brain, the first step. Secondly, you should have a guru, at least, to guide you. You can have the mantra of the guru, or you can just take the name of the guru. And you should be taking the name of the guru first after you wake up, and the last after you sleep, last before you sleep, right? So, like, suppose you take Dattatreya as the guru, right? So once you wake up, without leaving the bed, anything, in the same condition, the condition that you wake up, in that condition, you take the name of Dattatreya, Dattatreya, Dattatreya. When you go to sleep, while sleeping, you take the name of Dattatreya, Dattatreya, Dattatreya. And do it until and unless you fall asleep. Mental name, right? No one should listen to that name. So day should start with Guru, and with Guru, and you should have a habit of prayer. The two stuff is important. Other than that, as an astrologer, your heart should not be, the full of malice, or doing things against someone. Getting my point? What I'm saying. See, we may do bad karmas. Someone can get hurt from our karmas. There are many things that we cannot control. Words we cannot control, right? So maybe you say something that hurts someone. Maybe you can let down of someone's expectations, right? Your karma can hurt someone, hit someone. That is all okay. But intentionally, you should be very pure. You should never have that intention of that, let me make this post so that this person can get famous, etc. Your post should only be on, for the sake of let for the sake of making people aware of something, not with the motive of defaming someone, kind of stuff. Positive emotions give rise to positive things in life. Negative emotions are very bad. Are the few habitual things that you should do. Other than that, everything that is in a good human being should be in you. So being, astrology is something that is, astrology is like, the well-wisher. So you actually have to be the well-wisher for the client and for everyone. You should not have the approach of, like let's make them fool, or let me sell my this product of mine. No, you should have a pure and clean heart. That is very essential. And there are many such stuffs. But as an astrologer, a spiritual practice is most essential. Other than that, nothing is essential, right? Many people are of the opinion that, when you read a chart, some energies may come and you have to detoxify yourself. These are all Western concepts. We don't believe in this detoxification, etc. Right? There's no there is no detoxification, etc. You are not a buffalo who will go into the river to clean his body. Anyway, there's no such detoxification stuff. One thing is very important that I have learned from my guru. As an astrologer, you should have a fixed attire, a very fixed attire. So there should be something related to your personality, right? A fixed attire, like someone who always wears a jeans, or someone who always wears a dhoti kurta, kind of, So there should be something very constant with your attire as well. And this is a kind of stuff that makes that image of an astrologer, right? So that is very essential, is what I have learned. And one more stuff is there. There should be a great level of secrecy in your life. That is very important. A lot of secret things have to be there in your life. If you have a very open life, there are two problems into it. Anyone who will look into your life, like, to frame it in a better way, as an astrologer, your life should be very less known, so that when you give consultation to a client, they really bank over you, right? So there should be a level of secrecy, a level of, like, that the things are esoteric, hidden, not known. So it is generally an image of, like, suppose, what type of image you should carry. Let me tell you that there is a dark room, and there comes out a person wearing black clothes from that room. He shows you the light and goes back to the room. This should be the approach of an astrologer. Getting my point? If the client thinks that you yourself is having a bad life, how he is going to implement your remedies? No. So your life have to be very limited, very limitedly open, not much open. These are the few things as an astrologer that you should have. There are not many compulsions. Right? Stronger in astrology you become, lesser you will need these things. Like, the people who are supposed to have secrecy in their lives are generally the ones who don't have much astrological achievements. Those who are very good in astrology should not, are not bound to keep things a secret. And because they know very good astrology, so they don't have to make an aura of that, you can help, because they actually can help. Getting my point? So when you are an elder in family, you have to act like that you can save everyone. But if you are a real policeman, you don't have to act like you can save everyone. You actually can save everyone, right? But for the starting, there have to be things like this, right? A level of secrecy should be there into your life, importantly. And routine is important. Routine is important. As an astrologer, the routine is very important, because you are in the profession of time. If you don't respect time, who will respect time? The routine is important, actually. In spirituality, etc., routine is important. So that is the first stuff. Now the prime topic: when you should do a consultation. See, you are an astrologer 24/7. But what is the right time for the person to get a guidance? There are four factors to it. First of all, the Tara should be good. Tara. And I will use the Jagannath Hora illustration as well to make it do it yourself stuff, right? So suppose you have to do a consultation for this guy named Shubham Alok. that you have to do consultation for this guy. And the moon of this person is in Ashresha, ruled by Mercury. Right? Today, the moon is in Revati, ruled by Mercury again. So there is something called Navatara. You make Navatara from moon. So the Asresha also comes in Janamatara. Right? So that is a good Tara to do a consultation. You should not do a consultation when someone's Vipada Tara, Pratyak Tara, or Nidhan Tara is rising. Right? We should not do a consultation on that day. So check the Tara of the person, check the nakshatra of the person's moon, and check the nakshatra of the day. And from the nakshatra of that day, the person's nakshatra should not fall into Vipat, Pratyak, or Nidhan. Otherwise, whatever things you will say to the client, he will not be, he will not follow that. First stuff is important. Secondly, other than this, the moon for the client should not be into the moon of the transit, should not be into 6th, 8th, 12th from the moon or ascendant of the client. Right? So, like for the person, Shubham Alok, moon is in Cancer and the ascendant is Aquarius. So, from Cancer, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Aquarius will be 6, 8, 12. And Cancer, Virgo, and Capricorn will be 6, 8, 12 from moon, 6, 8, 12 from ascendant, right? So when the moon is in Gemini, when the moon is in Cancer, when the moon is in Virgo, when the moon is in Sagittarius, when the moon is in Capricorn, when the moon is in Aquarius, on these days you should not do the consultation for the Shubha Mahandai. So Tara should not be bad, and moon should not be into 6th, 8th, and 12th. Right? These are the two things that you should essentially see before doing a consultation. If it is not an urgent scenario, sometimes the consultation can be very urgent, right? Sometimes it may not be urgent. When the moon, natal moon of the client, right? When the natal moon of the client is transited by a malefic or aspected by a malefic, generally in that time you should not be doing a consultation for the person, right? Generally you should not be doing the consultation for that person in that time. So for this person Shubham, the moon is in Cancer, right? So right now Cancer is being aspected by Saturn. So until and unless Saturn is influencing the Cancer, you should not be doing this consultation for this guy until and unless it is urgent. So there can be urgent consultations, health issues, etc. Those urgent consultations you can do. But remember, because the moon sign is being afflicted by Saturn, he will not listen to the advice. Whatever advice you give him, he will not listen to it. He will just do what he wants to do. Even the good advice he will not listen to. His own advice he will not listen to. Leave your advice. He will contradict his own statements. Getting my point? So that is the third thing that you should keep into mind. The fourth step is, some nakshatras are good and some nakshatras are bad. The consultation should be in a good nakshatra day. Moon should be in a good nakshatra. Right? Like Chitra is a good nakshatra, Pushya is a good nakshatra. So good nakshatra they should be there. Aslesha is a bad nakshatra, Magha is a bad nakshatra, Mula is a bad nakshatra, Jeshta is a bad nakshatra, right? This Anuradha is a bad nakshatra. Anuradha is little Radha, small Radha, right? Small Anu is small. So why is small? Take it big, right? So bad nakshatra should not be there. Nakshatras lauded by Shatdisha is a bad nakshatra technically, right? So bad nakshatra, good nakshatras with good names. What is a good nakshatra? Nakshatra having good name is good nakshatra. Like Bharni is a bad nakshatra, right? Kritika is a Caesar bad nakshatra. Rohini, oh, how beautiful name Rohini. Mrigashira should not be considered very good for a consultation, right? Because it is the head of a deer. That is not good. Head is never good. That is having horns, right? Pushya is good. Pushya means nourishment. That is very good. Nee? Purva Bhadra, Uttara Bhadra, very good. Good nakshatra should also be there. Hmm? Okay, one more stuff. Okay. Which charts not to see, importantly, and when you yourself should do a remedy. Understand that 12th house indicates astrology. Okay. 12th house indicates astrology. So when you sit for a consultation, at that time, at that moment, the 12th house should not be afflicted. If the 12th house is afflicted, in that scenario, whatever remedies, etc., you give to the client, that will backfire you. And whatever problems are there in the life of client, that problem can come to your life as well. So the 12th house should not be bad. 12th house should be good. For an example, right now, it is a Leo Lagna, Leo ascendant with the 12th house empty. That is a good time for a consultation. Okay? Suppose if there is a Mars in the 12th house from the ascendant, it is a bad time to do a consultation. 12th house should be very good, empty, clear. When you sit for a consultation, if you don't want the remedies, etc., to backfire, okay? The 12th house should be very, very good. That is one thing. And secondly, for the astrologer itself, for the chart of the astrologer, although advanced astrologer will not need this, because those who are very good into astrology, those who know the science very well, for them it is not essential. But there are few people who are not very well read in astrology. They just make prediction just by the chance of luck, matter of luck, intuition based astrology technically. Intuition, those who predict based on intuition. They should not predict when the 12th house, as I told you, 12th house is astrologer. Do not predict when 12th house is transited by a malefic. And when the ninth lord is bad in transit, don't predict at that time also. For those who do a consultation based on fluke or based on intuition only, don't predict in those months, in those years when the 12th house from your ascendant is transited by a malefic, or your ninth lord is transiting in a bad sign. Bad sign means debilitation sign or a sign with malefic into it. So suppose your ninth lord is say moon. So when moon is in a sign with Mars, or moon is in a sign with Saturn, in those days don't do the consultation. Okay? Suppose your ascendant is Aquarius. Right now Saturn is in Capricorn. So don't do consultation until and unless Saturn leaves Capricorn. Although Saturn in Capricorn should not be an issue, as Capricorn is the own sign for Saturn. Right? But for those astrologers who are, intuition based, etc., you should not do consultations at this time. Because when you haven't learned it properly, anything can land wrong, landing you into troubles. Right? That is the story. A few more points. Anyone having, see planets, people having many malefic planet in the Kendra, more than two malefics, more than 2-3 malefics in the Kendra, not in own sign, etc. Right? So other than own signs, more than 2-3 malefics in the Kendra is a non-believer in astrology. So you predict things for him, and then he will laugh at you that I don't believe in astrology. Don't predict for such people, first of all. People with bad 9th house are highly ungrateful. Don't do them a favor. Right? People with bad Jupiter are pathetic people. People with bad Jupiter are pathetic people. So they should also be highly avoided. And bad have multiple definitions, by the way. Most importantly, Jupiter aspected by Saturn or Jupiter influenced by the 6th law. Most ungrateful person that you ever meet in life. There's a very great astrologer who has written the technique, by the way. And this is not mine. But let me tell you, Jupiter being influenced by Saturn or the 6th lord, they have no regards. They don't believe in the word guru. For them, everything is money, desire, lust only. For them, there are no values. So be a bit careful about this stuff. Afflicted kendras, etc. are useless, right? First lord, 10th lord, highly afflicted. Both of them. If one of them is afflicted, you can guide them. But if both first house and 10th house both are afflicted, or the first lord and 10th lord both are afflicted, in that scenario, no one can help the karma of the person. His karma is so bad that nothing can help him. And so no matter what you do, his karma is very bad, very pathetic. 5th house indicates your intelligence, right? 5th house afflicted, 5th lord afflicted. His perception is very bad. Whatever you tell him, he is not able to understand. Right? And he will blame you. That sir, you told this, that's why I did the thing. Getting my point? So a bad 5th house will be generally a person who will tell you, sir, when I got a consultation from you, I asked you that how will be my boyfriend. You told it is good, so I married him, and now my marital life is bad, so you are responsible. Why I'm responsible? Don't you have your own mind? So they are the one who will, because they don't have the power of perceiving things. No, reciprocation is not there. They only look at things that they want to look into. Most importantly, always check the moon of the client, right? Very afflicted moon, tell him sweet words, don't tell more more the affliction to moon, right? More he is into the fantasy world. Getting my point? Moon highly afflicted, great level of fantasy world. So he lives in his own fantasy world where he is the one who is very right, and everyone who comes in his life is wrong. So you cannot actually help these people, right? Because they live in their own fantasy la la land. You cannot help them come out of that la la land, right? People with okay moon, okay people. People with pathetic moon, pathetic people, they live in their la 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 land. The best people are the ones with good moon or moon influenced by planets who are powerful. Moon influenced by exalted planet, planet in own Rashi, planet Vargottam, etc. Moon influenced by them. Good people. Because they can actually take the advantage of a good advice. Moon influenced by planet in own sign, moon influenced by exalted planet. You give them good advice, they work on that and enjoy in life. Bad moon, pathetic moon, they live in their own world and you cannot help them. Right? So these are the few things that you should take care of. Moon is a very essential factor. Like moon intelligence and fifth house. Let me tell you three things primarily. First of all, Lagna is the intelligence, moon is the mind. In any consultation, look at that very closely, right? Afflicted moon, their mentality is completely shaken. For them, they are the right person, everyone else is wrong. And they will make every kind of logic to defend themselves. Bad moon, you tell them to do remedy. No, sir, we have to reap the fruits of karma. And at the same time, they will cry, sir, why I don't have a good life? Brother, you decide one. Whether you want a good life or you want to reap the fruit of karma. Both things cannot happen simultaneously. So bad moon, lives in their fantasy land. This happens in my fantasy land. This should also happen in reality. Lagna, bad intelligence is gone. Right? So you tell him that you have money invested. He will be like, no, I have money. I will spend it in alcohol and liquor. No. Afflicted moon, you tell them that, brother, you should not drink alcohol, etc. No, I was doing a consultation of one of the lady. So her daughter was 23, 22, 21, sorry. Not 21, I think somewhere around 22, 23, right? The lady never wanted to get married. Like they were living in USA, like far away, USA. The girl was not wanting to get married. Her father was not wanting to get married. Hmm. Just the mother were consulting me wanted to get married. And there's no problem with this stuff, right? Getting a 21-year-old girl married is not a problem, right? That's not the point that I want to highlight. That is all okay. If the girl wants to get married, that's okay. Right? If all the parents agree to get her married, that is also okay. Right? If you think that she's not able to take her own decisions and you want her to get married, it's okay. But so I told her that there are better marriage combinations after 2024. And as the girl is 21 right now, so after 2024, she will be 25. So that is okay, right? Marriageable age. So she asked me, Subham, are you married? I'm like, no. So she's like, are you against marriage? I'm like, what is this stuff? Why should I be against marriage? Right? So, afflicted lagna lot. So when I tell them like get it married, get her married after 25, they're like, because you are not married, you are against marriage. Why I am against marriage? I also don't drink alcohol. That doesn't mean I am against drinking. But those who want to drink, please drink. People tend to enjoy and go to clubs and pubs. I don't go to clubs, but those who go, I have no grudges against them, right? Your life, your club, you go. That is my point. So that is what happens with Lagna. So these three things you have to check into mind, right? The fifth house person is that is okay. He's not having that adequate intelligence to understand your world. So afflicted fifth house is he's not up to that level where you are trying to make him understand stuff. But Lagna is the intelligence and Moon is the mind, and these two things should be very good. So what I do, my intellectualism in a consultation is very much limited to the person's ascendant and moon. Someone's moon being very bad, I don't talk of reality. I talk of suppose this happens, suppose that happens, because you live your life on suppose only. Because you don't live on reality, right? So someone having a very good moon, someone having a very good moon, and if that person is, 28, 29, or say 40, and they are asking for a second marriage with a very good moon, so my thing will be that, my friend, you understand that at this age, chances are low, right? And this year is very good. So these are the factors that you should think of, and you can get married, right? And you can use these Murta factors to do this, right? That is my consultation. So good moon, I am telling him that at this age, chances are low. But a good dasha is there. So you should plan accordingly. Good moon, he will understand. Afflicted moon, you tell them at this age, chances are low. No, sir, you don't know this person got married at the age of 45. You are not that person. That person is not you. You people have two different charts, get lost. So for them, you have to tell, suppose if this happens, suppose if that, afflicted moon, I will be like, okay, so in 2024, there will come a guy in unicorn having white hair and a long sword in his hand, and he will marry you. Okay, wait for the moment and leave my mind out. Right? So you tend to advise the person as per his moon and the ascendant. Better it is, more blunt you can become, looking at the reality, telling the person what is the real reality. So these are the few things that you should keep into mind.